Have you ever seen something from the corner of your eye that wasn't there when you looked? How about hearing from a friend of a friend that while they were hiking somewhere, they thought they saw something impossible, but when they spoke to, say, a park ranger, there was always a simple explanation that left you unsatisfied? My name is Jack, and this is my colleague Chris, and we are senior wardens for the Creature Conservation Initiative. We protect the world from the creatures of superstition and myth, but more importantly, protect those same creatures from the world. Hello there, people. How are you doing? How are you enjoying your day? Is it going well? Have you had a nice week?
No.
All these questions and more. Well, we know you've not had a nice week, Chris. You never have a nice week. Life hates you.
That's true. I am cursed.
Very true, very true. But our listeners might have had a nice week, and I really hope they have.
Yeah.
If you have, well, good for you. I would say tell us, but you can't, so
Yep.
sorry. Unless you join the thing we'll tell you about right at the end. If you can stand to listen that long. But no, Chris, genuinely, how has your week been? Have you had a nice week? Have you done much?
Well, I'm surviving mostly. I'm just mildly cursed ever since working with the Banshees, but yeah, I'm doing fine mostly. I'm in the process.
It hasn't held you back from reaching your full potential, which might say something about your full potential.
Oh, well, let's not talk about this.
As you were saying, though, before I rudely smacked you down.
No, it fits nicely into that. I was just going to say I'm switching out my regular depression for seasonal depression. So, yeah, it's working out fine. You're great help with the transition. And, yeah, everything's going according to plan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. I'm always here to help people transition from one form of depression to another. I'm told that seems to be the aura I give off, helping people with depression.
Yep.
But not in the right way. No, I've had a really good week, thank you very much. Generally, awkward as anything, having to move around as a warden, etc. all the time, but it's been relatively chill.
To move around.
Having to stand up, walk 2 feet, sit down again. It's a lot. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I see that.
But no, I mean, having to kind of act as a warden, obviously, we get sent to different places, sometimes randomly, sometimes late notice.
Yeah.
It's been relatively quiet this week, so I've actually been able to get on one of my investigations rather than anything in particular.
Fancy investigations.
Yeah. Well, whereas I'm not really part of the investigations team anymore specifically, I do still do a few investigations.
Okay.
Well, I mean, dear listeners, as we say in the intro, we are senior wardens. It's kind of how we are. Pretty much at the tippy top of the ladder here, which allows me to, as I say, do not personal, but do targeted investigations and things. They don't really let me use resources from the company for personal investigations.
A shame, honestly.
Or at least they don't knowingly.
Yeah.
But I've been working on one of my kind of investigations, something I was contracted out a while ago to start looking at, but not too urgent.
Okay, so what did you investigate?
Well, this week I have been investigating a creature that some people might actually know, some people might not, and has actually managed to get across the Atlantic after originating in the UK specifically. It is a creature known as the Knocker.
Is it now?
Yes, the Knocker.
I've investigated a few knockers in my time.
Well,
I thought
it's got a few other names, and
my history or what's it called? Pardon. My history is a bit rusty, but I thought they originated somewhere in the African region, then spread out everywhere else.
It's a different form of knocker.
All knockers are good knockers.
Knocker singular, not plural. Although there are usually a few of them all in one location.
They're not always symmetrical, so that's fine.
Right, okay, it's got more than just one name. They are sometimes known as knackers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I know exactly where your brain went there. No.
I don't even have to say it.
They have a different name, though, in the US, because like I said, as I was introducing it, it has actually made it over to America and kind of the North American continent specifically, where it is known as the Tommyknocker. Have you heard of this creature? The creature before, Chris?
Don't know why you would need to emphasize this so strangely, but yeah, I think I've heard of the Tommyknocker actually, but can't quite put a face to it right now.
Well, I'm not surprised. They aren't easiest to find, and even those of us who kind of work around them probably don't see them very often. Not because of any particular reason, other than where they tend to work is usually a very, very dark underground subterranean area, so they can be quite difficult to see even if you know one is around you. I can see your face. No.
I didn't say anything.
The myth of the knacker, Tommyknocker, that started in kind of Cornish and Devonshire folklore. So it kind of started around that kind of area. But also it has kind of counterparts in Welsh and Irish myths. Some people say, or some people actually mix them up a little bit with leprechauns and the Kentish clocker.
No, that's a weird image. No matter which way around you mix them up.
They sometimes occasionally get equated to being a little bit like the Scottish brownie, which are all different creatures. Similar kind of type, but different creatures in and of themselves. They are described as being about 2 feet, so 60 centimeters tall, with a disproportionately large head, long arms that tend to scrape along the floor when they're moving.
Lovely. And
wrinkled skin with kind of like white beardy whiskers. This sounding any bit more familiar to you?
Yeah, that's I've seen them in the training material, I think, but I haven't had to interact with them yet, and I think I'd like to keep it that way if I can.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, having worked with them myself, some of them can be quite nice.
Really?
They're seen as being quite mischievous, but they can also be quite helpful, but they can also be quite mean if you annoy them, shall we say. In terms of like any other kind of defining features of them, they actually wear miners' clothing, because Tommyknockers, knackers, whatever you want to call them, they actually exist in mines. They don't live anywhere else but within mines themselves, and that's kind of how they've gained their name as knockers.
So they're just spending the whole day knocking around in the mines.
They have been known in the past to be helpful, but also hurtful to people who work down in mines. But based on the name Knocker, what do you think they do when they are down in mines? What would you say?
Well, as I said, knocking probably, and I suppose that could be either a warning sign that maybe something collapses, or luring people in to investigate and then get collapsed.
Well, you are actually perfectly right there to in this one. So
finally, a test I could do.
A test you can do. One you're not going to fail at too often.
I knew I was an expert with knockers. You knew what was going to happen if you do this episode.
I know, but I was hoping for a little bit more control.
Never.
Yeah, they, depending on the viewpoint of the person telling you the story of these creatures, if they see them as quite benevolent creatures, quite helpful creatures, then yeah, they can. It's said that knockers and things would kind of knock on walls and things that could potentially collapse, so that those working down the mines knew to be careful within those zones. They might knock on areas where you'd find like a rich vein of the ores that you were looking for. So you could see them as being really, really quite helpful. Whereas those who saw them as being a bit more kind of like mischievous or even dangerous saw it, just as you said, the knocking might do knocking on the walls and things like that to lure you down certain areas into danger where you could get yourself hurt or even killed. Knocking on walls, you're wondering what's going on, so you go to investigate, and that's where a collapse occurs. But one of the things that we do know about them is that they did steal from miners if you allowed them. So like we said, in that mischievous way, if you left your equipment, if you left pickaxes, if you left like lanterns and things like that, just to go put them down and weren't watching for a little while, they would actually go in and take that equipment, which we think is where they mostly got their clothing from, which kind of makes me wonder how many 2 feet tall miners there were down there to be able to provide the knockers with their own clothing. But you know what?
They call that boyfriend look, I think. Just terribly oversized clothing.
Well, to me, I think it's a case of they would steal like clothing, they would steal material, and they'd fashion it themselves. We've never really seen them stealing because they seem to, as a bit of a way for off the myth itself. Yes, we have set up cameras, we have put lures of things out, but we've never actually seen them take them when the cameras are on, the cameras are working, when the cameras can see them. They're very smart in that way. They don't. We know that they steal, but we've never been able to catch them stealing. So they're very good. They could get out of legal trouble, shall we say. You ain't taking a knocker to court.
Well,
leave it.
For the last 5 minutes I've been half listening because I'm trying to come up with a joke involving knockers and shafts, but I can't quite do it. But
I think we are all very happy about that fact.
So you're not dragging knockers to court. So what do you do with them?
So if you don't want them to steal your stuff, your food, even like your equipment, there was a very simple way. People used to start leaving, the ends are like the end of the food, scraps and things like that in different parts of the mine for the knockers to come and they can eat it. And essentially it's like paying them in food and things for their work, which is where you would tend to get like that more positive, benevolent knocker that's trying to help you and show you things. Just like anything, we all want to be paid for our work. The knockers are no different.
What were they eating before they were getting left bread crusts and whatnot?
We're not too sure, and we probably don't want to know, if I'm perfectly honest. Knockers and things like that, they tend to be like gnome-like creatures. That's kind of how they're classified. And let's be perfectly honest, creatures in that kind of like vein, gnomes, little elves, goblins, those kinds of things, usually what they eat tends to be children or wildlife or God knows what. So let's be perfectly honest, we don't want to know what they were eating beforehand.
Especially considering how many children used to work in mines back in the day.
Exactly.
So, good I brought that up.
Excellent. Great you brought that up. But so depending on how you were treating the knockers, you would get different types. You would get the result that you deserved, shall we say, as miners. Miners considered. And large companies, industrialized miners and things like that, they actually saw knockers as part of the team. They didn't just see them as kind of pests. They didn't consider them as pests. They considered them as workers in their own right, to the point where even, I believe the story I was reading, a mine shut down around the 1950s, and they actually boarded up the mine entrances until former workers, former miners, actually came along and made such a stink about it that they made the company open up the boards so that the knockers could get in and out of the mine and not be trapped in there.
Okay.
There's a strong kind of relation to this folklore and modern times. Even people see knockers as still being around as far as they're concerned, and they are really, really helpful. But like I say, if you were nasty to them, they would be tricksters. They would hide things. They would extinguish lights, candles, and yeah, they would take them away.
Okay. Has that changed in any way with modern mining equipment? You know, these days you have massive drill machines down there and everything, electric lights and whatnot.
Yes and no. I mean, they'll still break things, they'll still take things if you don't look after them. And I would say, based on our research, based on like what we know as professionals who are looking after these kind of creatures, I would say the more successful mines tend to take knockers into account.
Interesting.
The ones that struggle, the ones that have, maintenance issues, the ones that usually end up with problem after problem, tend to be the ones where they're going, knockers don't exist, which kind of put us in a bit of a difficult position, kind of going, we don't want you to go hunting.
No, they don't exist, but just pretend they do. Wink.
Yeah, but that's the main myth and probably the closest to the actual truth there is.
I've just had the terrible thought of, if they steal mining equipment, if they steal one of these massive drill machines and just a little gnome going ham with a mining drill with reckless abandon.
Yeah. We'll get onto that in a little while.
Okay.
There are some older interpretations when it comes to knockers and things like that, where some people believe there were mine spirits. So the creature, like the spirits of those who have died in the mines, coming back to help or hinder, depending on again how you treated them.
Imagine dying and you have to keep working.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. These ones, they seem to want to do it. They seem to want this kind of job.
Yeah, the children yearn for the mines, etc.
The knockers yearn for the mines. When we originally started, when we originally started dealing with knockers, we had to kind of disabuse people of this idea of them being spirits. They are separate creatures.
Yeah.
But I would also be remiss if I didn't mention some of the history, some of the things about knockers were a little bit problematic in the past. So along the same lines of spirits, some places saw them as the spirits of Jews that worked in the mines in 11th and 12th century.
That's oddly specific and weird.
Yeah, that's what I mean by it being a little bit problematic.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, which is why we kind of tried to disabuse people of this kind of idea.
Yeah.
They're creatures in and of themselves. They're not spirits. They're not part of. They weren't humans beforehand. They didn't, die down the mines and everything. They're their own thing. Yeah. So they moved over to the United States in kind of like the 1820s with Welsh and Cornish immigrant miners who would bring kind of tales of knockers, and evidently, I mean, obviously, they in their mind it was folklore, but we know that some of them came along with miners. They would make the trip on board ships, stowaways, end up in the mines of North America, and would then go on to do what they do.
Interesting.
Yeah. But so that's kind of the myth and the legend, and a little bit of like the real existence of knockers. They are down in mines, and I would ask our listeners, please do not go down mines just to try and find these creatures. Number one, you ain't going to find them. You have to be well trained, and you have to know what you're looking for to be able to find them. They will hide from you, and they might even get you in trouble, plain and simple. So don't go searching for them. You won't find them. You will only get yourself hurt.
Yeah. Mines are dangerous places for all kinds of reasons besides weird creatures you may or may not find. So, please don't.
But anyway, I'm sure you would like to know a little bit about my kind of recent interactions with them.
No, I'm good. I think that's the episode.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, go ahead. Tell me everything. Tell me how you handle your knockers.
Okay.
I'm just trying to do enough so you can't cut all of them out in the edit.
Oh, none of them will be cut out in the edit. Don't
Oh,
worry.
great.
I don't cut those kind of jokes out. Yeah, so it's funny you were talking about like drilling equipment and mining equipment.
Yeah.
There was a mine in undisclosed location.
Ooh, I've been there.
That you might have, who knows. There are other creatures in mines, but we're talking about knockers. Yeah, so there was a situation in these mines where a piece of equipment, shall we say, one of the big kind of plant equipment that they've got, one of the big drills, as far as the mine was concerned, or at least as far as like to the wider public, someone working on site had they kind of put it down to a mental breakdown. You know, they came up with a story. Someone drove it, caused millions of pounds of damage.
Okay.
And that person was let go, etc.
See where that's just going, yeah.
Yeah, that was what they put out to the public and what they put out to in the wider world. However, someone on that team knew something bit weird, bit freaky was going on. No. So it kind of got back to us, and they sent me out there to go and investigate, find out what I could, and try and help them. Whereas I'm not one for going out and really helping big corporations keep making large amounts of money and all that kind of stuff. It's not really my kind of thing. It is my job to make sure that the creatures are okay. So at the very least, I went out there just to check up and see how we can help. Like I've said already, there are many different creatures that live in mines and things, but I had a pretty good idea we were probably dealing with a knocker rather than anything else. And frankly, a rather pissed off one, if I'm being perfectly honest. Normally they would stick to just kind of taking things and hiding things and just being mischievous, but this one actively went and caused quite serious harm and damage.
Okay.
So when I arrived there, it wasn't long since this had occurred. It was probably about a few weeks when I first got there, and as I arrived, went and started moving around the mines myself. I brought various bits of like old-timey kind of mining equipment, pickaxes and various things like that, because whereas these creatures have adapted to the modern day, they have the things they like. So I brought this, had my bag, took my equipment, went down there, and I probably spent about 2 days walking around the mines, just leaving little things lying around. And for the first day or so, nothing went missing, nothing was hidden, nothing disappeared. But on the second day, as I was kind of moving around a certain sector of the mine itself, a certain area, where roughly on kind of the opposite side to where the damage had been caused, I left a few things out here and there, and I noticed when I did like a 5-minute loop of a certain part, I noticed some of it being picked up, disappeared, like moving to different parts of the mine, different areas. And so I started leaving them in for longer and longer periods and longer periods.
Yeah.
Then that kind of gave me an idea, okay, so they're operating in this shaft, shall we say. And so the next day I came back with food, and I was putting out little bits of food here and there, leaving it around for, to try and entice the knockers out.
You know what you said.
Yep, I know it the moment I said it. But yeah, so trying to get them to approach, shall we say. And yeah, basically I got to the point where I was not quite seeing them yet, but they were approaching me a lot sooner, and I was close to basically what I was trying to do was I was trying to get it to a point where I could have a conversation with one, because they are smart, they are intelligent, you can talk to them. They just don't like being around people very much. Although, I mean, they like being around people, but they don't want to be seen being around people.
I relate to that very much.
And that, unfortunately, is when I had to kind of walk away and disappear for a week or so. I got called out for another job. Yeah. When I came back, I had to start some of it again, but again, put some food out, etc.
What food did you put out? What do they like?
Would you believe it? One of their favourite things is Cornish pasties.
Never had one of those, but they're famous.
Oh, well, I mean, exactly. I mean, these are creatures that kind of originated in Cornwall.
Yeah,
what do you expect?
Makes sense.
But pretty much anything kind of like pastry, hardy kind of savoury things, they love it. They'll go crazy for it. They like the meat, they like the vegetables. But I will say they do have a bit of a sweet tooth. I put out a few croissants in the past, and all those go. They don't like it lots. They don't like lots of them. But you know what? A little treat, they'll go for it. But by the end of like my second few day stint there, I actually was able to put some food out, walk probably about 30 meters away, and see some of the knockers come out. And they would go, they would grab the food. They'd be very wary of me. They didn't want to approach, but they were a little bit more willing to deal with me. At this point, I went back to the miners and the management and everything, and I just said, right now, if you want me to solve this, you can't go down there, which they weren't happy about, because apparently that was one of the more kind of rich veins, shall we say. But they were just... I just told them, like, if you want this handled and you want to prevent this from being a problem later down the line, you gotta work with me here. Okay. So they went through. The next time I went was a couple of weeks later, and again through food and things like that, I actually got them to come out and get close enough so that I could have a conversation with one of them. Mm-hmm. They have incredibly deep voices as well, like deeper than my voice. It's quite scary, actually. Well, not so much scary. It's incongruous. That's the word I'm looking for. To have this 2-foot thing basically have like a baritone voice.
Oh yeah, that sounds weird.
But you get over it very quickly. And what I actually found was that some of the drilling that was happening actually was going into their homes, and that the mining company weren't essentially respecting the knockers. They weren't giving them food. They weren't, appeasing them. So they'd actually, been playing tricks on miners and various things like that, to the point where one of the mine hired, well, they had security anyway, but they sent some of the security down, and one of the knockers had got injured by the actions of the security guys. So the following day, one of the knockers, who was just obviously much braver than the rest of them, basically got in one of the pieces of kit, got in one of the drilling machines, and just wreaked absolute havoc.
Oh, no.
Turns out they're very good when it comes to mining. Even modern mining tools, they know how to work them just intuitively. If anything, we should be hiring these guys for mining, because
yeah, probably
they're the best at it. But yeah, so this was kind of a warning. I actually found out that if it continued, they were going to be more and more dangerous. They were going to cause more and more damage. What I also found out afterwards was that these knockers, they just wanted to help. They just wanted to mine. They love mining. Yeah. They wanted to do some of the mining work, but they also wanted to have their homes. They moved their homes around the mine, but the mining equipment and the operations that was going on were just getting too close to their current location. And so this was just a whole warning thing. Yeah. By the end of it, essentially this week, I concluded with the mine themselves. I went and spoke with their management, and I just talked. Basically, I said to them, they want to help, they want to work with you here, they want to do this, they want to do that. The management was shouting something about unions. I told them to shut up, because these guys aren't unionized.
Not yet.
Well, we haven't gone for a full conversation. Basically, I forced the mine to actively start respecting the knockers, and to provide, food, to provide kind of help. And luckily, this time I've managed to mediate between the two, and now we have a thriving community of knockers working on a mine who are just happy to be a part of the whole thing. We have a few people who are now in the know. We have a few people who are a bit confused as to why there's catering going down this mine. So far, it's mostly been local bakeries and pastries and things like that, and sending all their stuff. I did speak with them, and potentially they might be putting some KFC down there. So partially because I'm interested to see if knockers like fried chicken. It's a personal thing. I'm just curious.
Who doesn't really?
But yeah, so I've managed to kind of like find a nice way to end this whole saga, this little feud between miners and knockers. And now we might have a more effective mining operation that could actually be even better for the environment, because these guys will help direct them to where the ore is.
Okay.
Or they'll just tear it apart and everything will go wrong and we'll have to go in there and relocate them. And but then we can use our contacts to put pressure on the mining company and make life hard for them as well.
Yeah, but it sounds like a good outcome.
It's worth knowing. Yeah. We've had some positive outcomes here, and it makes me happy because I don't always like going in and then having to fight or harm creatures.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have to go back, I still have my slideshow for unionization and everything from the elves workshop. So you can use
from
that.
The Christmas elves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? I'll drag you along to see knockers.
Again.
Where else can people go to see, maybe, just maybe, see knockers, Chris?
Well, I am not 100% familiar with the terms and conditions on Discord, and I'm 80% sure that they forbid us from actually seeing knockers there, but you can still try your luck and join our Discord. You can find the link in the episode description and just join our little community there and talk to like-minded people, talk about our episodes and creatures we have done, or suggest new creatures for us to talk about, because between Jack and I, we have been doing this a long time now, and chances are we can tell you about pretty much every creature you can think of, and then about 14 more. And just go there and have a little chat with people. And while you are doing that, what else could they be doing, Jack?
They should also be going back and listening to all of our old episodes, because there are loads
what a
of them
great
at this
idea.
point. We've been doing it for a while. I know, it's wonderful. And we've made it so easy for you to get access to them. You can get them on Spotify. You can get them on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, pretty much anywhere else that the system will send it to when we upload it. It's absolutely wonderful. And obviously
Fantastic.
the YouTube version has some visuals to it.
Ooh.
Not much, but some visuals.
Yes.
Some visuals that
We
our
saved
wonderful
every
Chris here has
expense.
worked very hard. Exactly. We saved every expense. But at the same time, you should be rating. You should be giving 5 stars, thumbs up, likes, and all of that kind of stuff, because
You
it
know how
feeds
the
an
internet
algorithm.
works.
Yep, it feeds an algorithm that we do not understand and
Yeah.
makes us more successful.
Honestly, one of these days we should do an episode about the algorithm.
Oh, that's a myth that no one's been able to fathom quite yet. But and also, if you are really enjoying the show, which I know you are, you must be. Everyone does. Everyone really enjoys the show.
Yes.
You should give us follows. You should subscribe to the podcast so you do not ever miss an episode, because there's definitely going to be something that you want to know about. If you don't really care about knockers, well, that's your choice. But you might care about things like the Leviathan, or you might care about mermaids, or Nuclevi, or various things. Calm it down.
Never.
You need a cold shower. And we've just got loads and loads of different creatures for you to listen and learn about. And you can always, if you're in the Discord, you can always tell us about creatures that you want to know, and we will potentially do an episode on it if we feel like it.
Wow. And isn't that a great promise? That's
the guarantee.
What
if we feel like
the
it.
CCI. Vague statements, so we can't be held down to anything.
Oh, that's my favorite part. But join us, get involved, get with us, send us emails, do everything you want to.
One of us.
And
come on, chanting
on
is slightly stupid if you do it alone. Need your help.
I know. I know.
God damn it.
But yeah, on that note, I think it's pretty much time to say goodbye, and we'll see you on the next one. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you enjoy everything. I hope you have a lovely life, and goodbye.
Goodbye.